Good evening, everyone. I hope I am audible. Everyone, I hope I am audible right now. Okay, so let me just walk you through what we studied yesterday. Just a second. Okay, so we were studying about the intermediate JavaScript portion where we like studied about what are the different functions in JavaScript, how we write like different types of functions. Suppose I have written this function, then it will like console log do remi, and if I just go ahead and write this function grade and console log this, then I will get this high, and whatever I pass in this function I will get that. Basically, suppose greet, I pass this, then I will like receive this basically value. Then this type of function with these arguments passed here, and then what we have, we can also like add if conditions inside our functions. Then we studied about the higher order functions, what is basically like the lexical scope. And I can also treat function as a value, which includes storing it in a variable. Then I have these like this particular thing, functions are the values in JavaScript, and we can store it, pass it around, etc. So these were higher order functions. Basically, if I can pass a function inside another function parameter, then that particular like thing is called a higher order function. Then we have this method, like suppose I write math, and I write like two values there, multiply and divide, and then I add these functions, then this is called like method. So it can like do a lot of things. Okay, like if I write mat dot multiply, so then multiply will happen, and if I like write mat dot divide, then division will happen. So this is basically method which contains like a lot of functions inside it, can perform multiple operations. Then we have like this keyword, which is similar to this in oops, and if it like targets a particular value. Suppose I have this particular function, then it will be called in the context of cat function. Then this will be called in reference to like window object for some other basically other object basically. So this is like the use of this keyword. Then we have this like try and catch block here, where like what we do is we just console log, if we console log something inside try, if something we write inside try becomes successful, then we get this particular console log, and if there is any kind of like error, then we get this console log, please pass a string next time. Then what we have is the callback method, array callback array method basically. So I have this number 1 to like 20. I print element console log element, and then I will be able to like console log this. Then I had this callback function for each. Then I have this for each. Then what it does, it will like call the parameter p for all the values, and whatever I write inside this will be like updated for my numbers. Okay, suppose I have these movies, then it will be done for each also. And another function that I have is the map function. So these were the two callback array methods that we studied yesterday. Like if I want to reduce all the characters of text to lowercase, then I will use this uppercase. Okay, then I have this. Uh, Suppose I have this sum, and I console log a plus b, so I will get this sum particular 1 comma 2. and a lot of like these things in map and call by function. Then we studied about the set timeout and set interval. Suppose I have written something like this, then it will be executed in an interval of 3 seconds. And suppose I have written something in this particular portion like const id equal to set interval greet for after a duration of like zero point 0.3 milliseconds, and after zero point 0.3 millisecond this particular portion will be repeated. Is it fine up till now? I hope it's fine. I have shared them. I don't know why they are not yet shared. I don't have any idea about it. So I'll ask them. I have asked them. I'm sending them like from 2 to 3 days, so I don't know what is the reason. Then we have this filter basically. So it creates a new array with all the elements that return true for a given function basically. So this is like kind of a filter. So these are like set time outside interval function. Then we have this sum and every in JavaScript. It returns true if any of the elements satisfies a given property, and this every is returned if all the elements in the array satisfy a property basically. This is like the newer functions of JavaScript. And what we have here is destructuring part. I told you to like go through it on your own. So today what we'll do, I'm skipping the dom part for you all, for you to like go through it on your own. There's like not a lot of things. Let me just go through it very quickly. So suppose I have to select elements in my index.html basically. And what I do is I select get element by id and get elements by tag name and get element by class name. So just like we were targeting in css dot the class name or dot some id or the element, so we can also do it like this. We can also do it like this. If you pass a string and if the element corresponding to that is found, the object is created and then returned, otherwise it's null. So JavaScript objects are returned here. So collection of like key value pairs. So suppose I have to like target some element and change the JavaScript basically. So what we do is document dot, we write document, then we write get the element by id, get element by id, and suppose the id of the element is banner. So we are not asking for the html, but we are asking for that dom object basically, the actual object, not the html but the actual object. Then that will be targeted, and after that I can like change a lot of like things there by using JavaScript. And I can also like get element by tag name or get element by class name, and they basically select multiple elements. They return an html collection. uh, there is also like query selector. Suppose I write document dot query selector, then I can select h1 document dot query selector id and the class. They give us the like the first match that they get, the first h1 they will that will be selected. And if I write query selector all, then all the h1 will be selected. So that's how we select basically our document object model. We select it like that, our dom. After that we manipulate it, like we change it. So let's see how we change it basically. So uh, like don't mug up all these things, and learn how to we can like google things and understand things and then write in our code basically. So suppose I have like targeted this particular thing. So document dot query selector, I have targeted h1. Then I add dot here, and I want to like change the inner HTML of this h1 to suppose this subscript. Lol, is this working as it is object? So what have I done? I have changed the h1's inner HTML to this particular heading. So if I will like target this and call this in my JavaScript, my HTML heading will change to this basically. Okay, I can also like get attribute or set attribute to a new value. Okay, so suppose I have like I want to change style of HTML, then I can like write here set attribute. Okay, then style also we can also change like style by using JavaScript, but we don't use it that much. Okay, because we need a lot of lines of code, so we don't use this particular practice. So suppose I have written here like const h1 equal to document dot query selector select h1 basically. Then what has happened, we have window dot get computed style, show us the final computed style, so that we will get the css declaration by using this particular thing. So that's how we write let just a second, yeah. So it's better option to avoid like the inline css. So we should not like use this inline css styles. We should always create a file and make this. So this is like suppose I want to add a class name to my h2. So what I can do is I can write, just simply write h2 dot class list dot add this particular value. Then I can also like add b as my class list dot, I can remove this particular class. So I can also check what is the class list by class list dot contains, and I can just toggle my class list. Okay, I can just toggle them also. Then next up what I have is the this is how we manipulate basically. We can also like traverse on this particular things, like bold dot parent element, like bold dot and a lot of things like paragraph dot children. It gives collection of all the children and we access them using these brackets. Then we have the next sibling, previous sibling. So all these functions we can use by creating a dot, like this document dot create element. Then I can like create one element. What element? h1, my paragraph tag. I can create them using this. I can also like append child, like I want to document dot body dot append child. Suppose I want to add a new image to my div. Then what I will do, I will like write document dot body dot append child and append this new image on my html. Then we can append more than one nodes at a time, and I can append strings in paragraph also. Then prepend feature, like it will, it also works just like append. And we have inserting adjacent element, like to insert sibling. Then we can use this before and after, and we can like use all of them to browse basically. Then I have this removing nodes option, like suppose I have created this element like remove child. So add child. So I create child or add child. Okay, so I can also like remove it by using the dot remove child function or the dot remove. Okay, so suppose I have written const image equal to document dot query selector my image tag basically. So what will happen, my image will be selected, and after that if I write img dot remove, then this will be removed. Okay, so next up what we have is the DOM. So what is this DOM? DOM is the full form of DOM is document object model. So a JavaScript representation of a web page plus tons of useful methods and properties. Okay, so DOM is basically the representation of the JavaScript way of the web page. Like this is this particular web page in the language of JavaScript. Now it's a bunch of objects that I can interact via JavaScript. So document dot object. Okay, every html and css element they get a javascript object. Okay, they have like hierarchical relationships based on how they are declared, like they have this tree type of structure in them. Then at the top, at the starting, there is document, and inside the document there are like a lot of things. Okay, so that's the document object model of javascript. Okay, event basics, how I can like add events. Okay, so suppose I have inline events. Okay, suppose I have this button, and if I write on click, okay, I have this inline event inside my button. If I write on click, give one alert basically. So this will be displayed, you clicked me, this type of alert will be displayed. So this is like the inline event, and it complicates our like, so it's not like much used. If you want to like add the similar behavior, so we can like copy paste this entire thing and we can like create a new function. Okay, now if I just get the button element using my query selector and I change the on click property, so it this is a better option, right? If I just query selector my button and then I change the on click property and then add a function, so that's a better approach. Then best method is to add an event listener. Suppose I want to create an alert by clicking on button, so we should always use this particular method. We should add one event listener. So like button dot add event listener event, and what is this event? Then I will give one function, and in function I will write what I have to do when this particular button is clicked. So that's the best approach. We should use this. Let me show you in the code also. See what is there, this is like button, and I have like dot on click, then there will be a function console log you click me. I hope this works. Okay, then this is like a function. Then I have this button dot on mouse enter scream. Okay, then the scream function will be called. Suppose I have this h1 document dot query selector h1 on click change, like bring this alert. So that's the second method. Third method, which is the best method and we should always use, is choose the button document dot query selector with the button with id, then add event listener. What this event listener will be, it will listen to click. If I click on the button, then the screen function will be called. This particular function will be called. If I have like this twist, then if I write here twist, then this particular function will be called. Shout, then this particular function will be called. And suppose I have like I can add multiple like event listeners. Suppose this is my task button, and to task button I will add this event listener of click and twist for like once only. Okay, if I don't if I want to like m- make it repeatedly, like it should twist function should be called repeatedly, then I can make this once equal to false also. So that's how my event basics, or I can say event listener, works. So whatever you want to do in your javascript, like you want to bring something to your web page, when you click on the button, then you can add event listener. That's the best approach that you can use. So in the second method, this was the second method, like the button element and query selector and changing the on click property. So this is treated like a property. Okay, so this it's not like a callback function. So callback functions usage is important. So what was the callback functions basically, or the set timeout functions, the set interval functions? They are the callback functions. So we should use add event listener always. Then this is something like random number generator, random color generator. Okay, so suppose I have to create one function which generates like the random colors on my web page basically. So let me just copy this path, paste it in my browser, and see, if I click on this button, see this button generate random colors, so this will generate some random colors on its own. See, these are all the like random color generators. No matter how much I click it, they will be displayed. So how can we like develop this using javascript? So this is my file. I have created one button, and I have linked my script like javascript file with this. So this is I have like selected my button document dot query selector button, and then I have selected my h1 document dot query selector h1. So what have I done? I have added event listener to my button, which listens to click when I click on the button, and then the function of what create a new color as and then call this random color function. In event listener, I have to like create a new color by calling this random color function. Now let's go to the random color function. So this is the random color function. It takes the r value as something like this number. Okay, so that's how this r value is calculated, 159, by some random color, and it's multiplied by like 256. Okay, then we have this g value, which is again calculated as a 256, then this b value. So all rgb values are being displayed, and we return rgb, and inside dollar, as I told you earlier, write these values r, g and b. So I what I will get I will get here this rgb color values, and these rgb color values will be returned to my new color. Okay, so then what I will do, as soon as I get here, I will get some rgb color here in my new color. Then what I will do, document dot body dot style. Okay, inside my document, then my body, and I want to change the style of my body. And what I want to change as style, the background color of my body to new color. So what the RGB value will be calculated here randomly will be displayed on my screen. So that's how this a simple web page is working. Generate random color, and it's generating very random colors based on the like what I get as my random mat dot random function. Fine. I hope it's fine. So that's how we can use event listener. Okay. Then form events, change an input. That's not that important things. Let me just remove this. And okay, so now we are going to study about the asynchronous JavaScript properties basically. So what is this asynchronous JavaScript? So there are like two different type of languages. One is the single threaded and the another one is multi-threaded languages. So single threaded means one processor like works at a time. So JavaScript is single threaded and it can only return one line of code at a time. So if something let's say something takes 5 seconds to happen, so does that mean our code pauses for 5 seconds and then nothing happens? No, this does not happen in JavaScript. What happens is our browsers are typically written in C++ and JavaScript hands the task to this browser basically. JavaScript hands the task to browser. Browsers, they have web APIs which are built for these tasks. Then what happens is JavaScript call stack, it recognizes that these functions are taking a lot of time, so it stores it in somewhere in computer, and then the next task which is on the like in the queue, it gets happening. Okay, so after the time is completed of the task that was waiting, then that happens. It was like similar to how we were like experiencing the set timeout and the callback function. So all of this that was happening was due to the asynchronous nature of JavaScript. Then what we have is here, suppose this is my basically function. I have written a set timeout of 3 milliseconds. Then what will happen, this console log will happen sending request to the server. This will not come first. This will come first, sending request to the server, and after that I will get I am at the end of the file, and then after 3 seconds I will get here is data from the server. So this means that our code is not like stopping here at sending request to the server. It's not like stopping here, it's continuing from here. So here's your data from the server, so it will go after like 3 seconds, and rest of the lines will be continued. So what is this callback hell? So normally when there are a lot of like set timeouts, so we have to be careful with the delays. Like if we want them at interval of 1 second, we would have to write like 1000, 2000, and 3000. Suppose I have a lot of functions. Okay, like a lot of set timeout functions. So if I write my first set timeout function for a, suppose set timeout function for a duration of 1000 milliseconds, then I have to write my second timeout function for a duration of 2000 milliseconds, and similarly for like rest of the cases for like all. So this is called like callback hell. If I write all of them for 1000 milliseconds, then all of them will be executed at the same time. So that's callback hell. Okay, so this is like one method of writing delayed color change. Okay, so this is like document body, I've selected red, and set timeout, it changed to orange, then set timeout changed to yellow. This like nested set timeout. Let me just comment it once to show you how it's working. See, after some particular like state of times, it's changing its color. For so that's how we can like use nested set timeout. First orange, then red, then some other different colors. So we can also use like nested set timeouts here. Set timeouts. First was red, then came orange, then came yellow, then came green, then came blue. So after a duration of like 1000, this can also work. So to prevent like callback hell. Then do next we can like also use this. See, this is also like the nested form of set timeout. So we can use this. Then we have promises. So what is this promise? So it's basically like used to uh, what we can say, it's basically used to resolve and like syntax, like it's basically a syntax for creating a new promise. And what does promise do? It basically it's added like here. Like suppose I have this particular function, color and delay, and then I return a new promise where resolve and reject, and then I add this call, like my callback function inside this. So that's how this new promise is basically created. So what it will do is, if I call this function delay, delayed color change, and then I can write dot then. So this is the use case of promise. Dot then delayed color change orange to 1000. So this set timeout function will be called. Then set timeout function will be called for yellow, then for like blue, green, blue. So that's the use case of promises. That's the syntax. I will like resolve and reject, and then set timeout, my normal function, and in the end I will like resolve. See, that's how this isn't supposed to happen. So like this will happen. If all of these things happen, then we will go to catch. Okay, so this is where if something gets displayed an error, then we like catch it in the catch block, and we'll get this particular output. Suppose I open this in my browser, this promises portion, paste it here. Okay, see, so it's also like changing color accordingly. So we don't have to write every all the colors inside my basically, I don't have to write all of these things inside my uh what I can just a second. Promises. Yeah. So we don't have to write here like all the colors. We can call them here also when we call this particular function. So that's the use case of promises. Then what we have the async and await functions. So what are they? Let's study a bit about them. So like they help us write clean asynchronous code. It's like nothing new from JavaScript. A new coat of like paint on our code. They are like used together. So async functions, what they do, they also return a new promise. So suppose I have this async function. So I will write here a new promise, like to throw new error or throw string. And await, it helps us to write some synchronous code also. So it will pause execution of our async function and wait for promise to be resolved. So what will happen here, if I want to like create some synchronous functions, not asynchronous, then we can use this await function. It will wait for some time for the like next function to continue. So suppose I write here async function rainbow, delayed color 1000, delayed color orange 1000. So it will instantly turn to orange if I have written this. So if we want to like don't want to happen let this happen, then we can write here await. Then first red will happen, after a duration of 1 second orange will be the color of like change, the color change will happen. So I have this. If let's suppose I have written here async, I check this condition if username or password is not there. So I will throw this particular error. So what's this throw? It's basically a new promise will be generated, and after that, if password is equal to confi something like this, it will return like welcome. Else it will throw invalid password. So async is used for like passing these particular promises. Then what we have, if we use async and await, then our like particular function can wait. Okay, like document dot body dot style background, and then if I call this, then these functions can wait. It will like change color very slowly. So we should always use async and await whenever we are like creating requests, or like whenever we are creating functions in JavaScript. So if we get some rejection from our async function by the promises, if suppose we get some rejection, then we will get an error and our function will not work. So for this we use inside our functions try catch block, so that it can catch an error and proper particular error can be displayed on the screen. Fine. This is the like we'll start with first we'll start with the request. Like what basically is postman, how we do fetching in the apis, and then like what apis actually mean, and then we'll start with the node.js part. Okay, so first of all, what we have is we have this Ajax and the API. So let me start with the like API portion. That's important. So API's full form is Application Programming Interface. So interface where one piece of software interacts with another software. This is basically API. Suppose I have this one piece of software and we like want to it to interact with another feature. So we can do this by the use of APIs. So for example, there are some websites which create an endpoint for people to use. Suppose that we have ChatGPT, then ChatGPT has its API, and we can use it in our websites. That particular API link URL in our website, and we can like interact with it. Basically, we can send one request, and then we can receive the response from ChatGPT. So this is the particular endpoint that we get when we use this endpoint on our like code, and we are able to change them. And when we use these endpoints, there is response with like data. We get data some as response, like or other some softwares. So for example, suppose a portal of any company's data, we get data of like the company if we like request for anything. So we are here primarily referring to web APIs, and we make these requests using HTTP, and we can like explore APIs on your own. If we just go here, Cryptoner.com API, let me just, yeah, this is some kind of like API, and we can like study about APIs. There are a lot of APIs, or a lot of like for developer perspectives, there are a lot of APIs in the market. We can use them. Why we can need raw information, we get this raw information of data. So it's that we like don't need the styles, etc. So suppose I have to use like the Twitter's API. Okay, so we can find out who mentioned us in a tweet, and tweet without opening the app, and we can do a lot of things. Okay, so JSON, what is this JSON? So the format in which we like write things in our code is the JSON format. It's like represented in the in the key value forms, and we can like convert JSON data to JavaScript object by using this particular function. Const data equal to JSON dot parse the variable, basically. And to if I want to convert an object to JSON, then I will use JSON dot stringify values. That's a very important like function that we use a lot. So suppose I have my like JavaScript object, and I can convert it by using JSON dot stringify. JSON is used with other languages as well, for example Python, Ruby, and they have their own methods of passing through JSON files. So JSON is used a lot. So suppose I have this data of a ticker, base or target and something like that. And what I want to do is I want to parse this data. Okay, I want to like make it in the JSON form. So this will happen. Okay, this will be like displayed on my screen. Similarly, suppose I want to convert this. Suppose I want to like change this to my string form or JSON form. So I will use JSON dot stringify. Okay, so this JSON format will be changed to my normal format, and then this format will be changed to my JSON format. Now next up, what we have is like hopscotch and postman. So what are these two? They are like the tools that where we can test our APIs and send the requests. So they are the same, they only differentiate in their UI basically. And we can make requests to other APIs using these tools as well. Okay, we can make requests to other tools. So what are the different type of like HTTP requests? There are some HTTP requests, like you can get the data from some website. Okay, suppose I have some server, and I can get the data from there. I can also post the data. That's the second type of request. Okay, I can also post data on that particular website. I can also put the particular data on the website patch, and there are like a lot of post like HTTP request verbs. So almost all the like the free APIs, they have the get request based. Okay, all the free APIs have the get request. They don't have like the post request a lot. If you try to make a post request, we'll get a 404 error here. Okay, so we use these two very commonly, the get and the post requests. We use them very commonly. So There are also the HTTP status code. Suppose I receive this 404 error. What it means is that the it's basically means that there is some error from our side, okay, or we are not able to like send the request or receive it basically. So this is the client error. Like 404 means that there is some error from our side only. 403 and 405, these are some responses which are like from our end. And if we get 5, okay, some 5 type of error, then this means that there is this like server type side errors, okay. If we get some 500, so that's not our like client's problem, but the server's problem. So we also have like a lot of HTTP queries here. So we can include some information in our HTTP request, and we can like add query string also. Like suppose I let me show you some uh, queries. Okay, so how can I show you the queries? Suppose I have written here google.com. Okay, okay, so see, you can see here, I am getting something like search. See here in the highlighted portion, I'm getting search question mark, and after that q equal to Google and OQ equal to something like this. We are getting question mark and then these set of things. So what is this? This is basically a query that is generated here. Okay, so we write here as question mark, then sort equal to descending, and color equal to blue. So we can like use this value. So if my API is like looking for some queries, then it will work. Otherwise, it will just ignore them. Okay. So I can add it in the parameters in my hopscotch and postman and show you in some time how they will work. Suppose I have this header basically. So they are key value pairs that come with requests that tell us like the metadata. So headers, what are these headers? These are the headers. Like the header sort is the header and it's its value. So they are headers, and they also like many APIs like allow us to write some custom headers also. Okay, then we have XHR, like XML HTTP request. It does not support like promises, so there are a lot of callback functions, and like it has a very bad syntax. So request.open support, I have to write this method, then on load. So we don't use it like XML request as such. So this is like one example. So we don't have to remember any of this. You can just try it. So suppose I want to create a request on some server basically. So what I will write const request equal to new XML HTTP request. I will write something like this, and then I will write request dot on load. So what will happen on load? There will be a function called it worked const data equal to json dot parse this particular response text, and whatever data I will get will be displayed here. Okay, so where to I have to get this value? So I will write direct dot open get method and this particular value. So that's how this XML or XML request works. Okay, so we can also like add this. Suppose let me just show you the front end portion of this particular web page. I am showing you some XML requests basically. Okay, uh, XML. Yeah, so uh, how I can show it to you guys. Let me just close all of them and also close all of them. XML request. So what we have to do is we like have to request here on error. I will like get this particular error, and let's check what this particular link contains. It's like some kind of what I can say. It's like some kind of we are getting a name and everything. Just a second. just for till then, just check this code how we write XML requests. I will be back in a minute. So I was saying that this is like the particular method how we can pass the request and pass these functions. Basically, this is like the XML request. Okay, then this is like the fetching API. Suppose I want to like fetch something on my front end, so what I will do is I will write here fetch and fetch from here. After fetching, what do then dot then console log resolved and return res.json. Then data, I will get this particular data and I will catch the data if there is some kind of error. So just a second, how we do, let me show you how we do fetching here. Suppose I have this. Okay, uh, I want to fetch on this particular region and I want to console log resolved. Okay, so if I have got the my like if I've got the response, I will get one console log saying that I have resolved this basically. So see, I am getting the response from this particular URL. I am getting it has fetched my this link. Okay, this particular link. Go back. I click on like refresh, and I am getting something like something from here. This people instance. I am getting only get, head, and options are allowed. Post is not allowed here. And see, I am getting name, height, and all of these things. And this is my URL. So I have asked it to fetch this, and it will get give me some response. And then if I get the response, okay, if I get the response, then console log resolved and me return me the JSON format of my response that I have got. So what I am getting in my console, the same thing. Okay, this is my response. Okay, I am getting some body and body used to equal to true. This is some like headers, and what I have is this response. Basically, a lot of things is there, and I am one thing that I'm able to see is I have got the response from this particular URL. So that's how this fetching works, and we can like call it on our code also. Okay, so let me just comment it out for now and show you the next what we can do, what else we can do with this function. So suppose I have this particular fetch, it's also like fetching some URL which is people and one. Okay, let me go back and refresh. So it's like some people one, Luke Skywalker, and some height 172 and something. I am getting this particular like thing in my URL. So let me just go back. If I go, I say fetch this dot, then this is the user promise. I will get this. What response I get? Just console log here resolved and return the JSON format basically, the res.json. And after that, go to my data and console log this particular data. What data that I receive here, just console log this data and then return the fetch. Okay, it returns the promise as well, then again resolved again, and then like I have called them a lot of times. So let's see what happens if I go back to my fetch API. click on refresh. So I get some like response, okay, from my first response. Okay, this is my response. Then I get the response object from the data. I get like this data, this as a like quiet JSON data. After I have received the response, okay, I again return this, like return my promise as well. Okay, so it's resolved again. I get something like this. And again, if I go back, I get this second data. And it's like if I don't get any of these things, then I will get an error saying I have not received the like data. So that's how we can like fetch things here. Suppose I want to load here the data on the like data. So what I will do is I will write a function similar to this. I will write async here. Okay. So try to like await and fetch this particular URL. Then we have to await and like rest.json, add data in my rest.json file, and then console log data. That's my try doing. Then what is this response to is doing? It's like fetching on this fourth people, and then I'm getting the data to as await response to.json. Then I console log data to and catch this particular error. So it's like load Star Wars people and async. Okay, go back, click on like refresh. So it's like I'm getting some kind of error that people one this particular API is like get request is not found. Let's just try pasting this. Why it's not found? It's not found because we have like written a wrong URL here. Okay, this is the wrong URL. So I will correct this URL and then you will be able to see that I have got. I will change this to 1. Okay, go back, click on refresh. See, I am getting my first people every data and my second people every data. So that's how we receive data on our front end by using these fetching. Okay, then we load the Star Wars people. I have like written this function. We write this function and then we are able to use it. Another method apart from like my XML request is the like Axios. So how we write the Axios function, let me just tell you. So this is suppose my function get Star Wars person async id, then I have this try block in response await, then we get Axios dot get on this particular id my data, then we console log and we catch any error. So that's it's the simple like get response. It Axios dot get response and I will get the particular response. So suppose I write this get stars for Star Wars person first and Star Wars person fourth. Okay, and I just comment out rest of the things. I don't want jokes right now, so I'm commenting this. Again, I am commenting this portion. I don't want this, and also event listener thing. I have like commented all of these things. What I have right now is this simple function get Star Wars person and the ID here, which is like getting this particular on this particular URL something. Okay, I go back and click on refresh. So I get the name of like this first person. Suppose I comment out this, I will only get the name of my first person, the fetching of my first person. And if I just let me remove this. Okay, refresh. I will get this. So that's just a second. Let me just copy and open the new page. I'm on the previous page only. Okay. I don't want jokes right now. So I'm going on inspect and going on the console. I have received some object, some kind of like object on Star Wars from Starships and another object from the same URL. So I'm getting like a lot of things here. Gender male, blonde, and a lot of things. So that's how this basically works. I am like getting the people and get Star Wars person first and fourth. Okay, so that's how we Axios get response does. Then suppose I want to add a new joke. Okay, suppose I want to like add a joke. So I have written here const jokes equal to document dot query selector jokes ID, and then I have this button which just selects the particular button, query selector the button. Okay, and then what selected the button in const button and jokes. After that, I add new joke in the async basically. And what this async done is, it takes the await value and it gets get that joke, okay, get like that joke, and new list. Then it will create an element list, and in this list it will append these jokes, and in jokes this new list will be appended, okay. So this is like the particular uh, trend that we are following, okay. Then we'll write the this function get that joke, something like this, okay. I will comment this out. This is my get that. So how this will get that joke, async, okay, const config header accept application slash json, okay. In my headers I have to accept this json format. Then get from this joke.com, this is some site where I can get the jokes. And then config file, okay, like config I will add in my response to accept it. Then I will console, let me just console log my response and response data, okay. Let me just I will like response.data.joke, then return this response.data.rows. If it's not received, then we'll pass catch an error, no jokes available, sorry, okay. So now I will add one event listener to my button.add event listener. On click add new joke, click on refresh, go back. If I click now, I have added this event listener to click. So if I click on this, I will receive something as my response. So this is my response, okay. Like this like status 200, 200 means okay. And I have received some this data, okay. Some id and joke, what don't watermelons get married, okay. So uh, some joke, okay, I am getting here. So that's how. And this it's added to my list also. I again click on it, so I get another like joke. I click on it and it's added to the list of my jokes. So I can like use this particular thing to make like available all the jokes. Then TV show social, like it's another app in which I have added the event listener of summit. And I can like I have used this tvamaze.com search shows website. I have axios.get on this url, and the response that I get, I have like posted the response.data here. And I have made this image, make image. What the make image is doing, make images like if result is shown, then we have to like create an element of image. And in image src I have to add the show image medium, and then append the image to my body, okay. Now just see once again, I have this form. And in this form what is there, document.query selector search form basically. Form, in the form add event listener of the submit. If the form is submitted, then event.prevent happening from default, and then query.value will be selected. After that, request.params, then we'll get this getting body, okay. Let me just copy path and show what this particular thing is doing here. Suppose I have to search something like funny, okay. I will search here. So see, some I will get something like all the things that are like displayed as a funny from this particular link basically. This particular link, I'm getting it from this particular link, okay. So I have received some response here, funny, or I can say some horror, okay. So all of the things which are similar to this, I will receive it from, I will receive it here, okay. So that's how my movie search is happening, okay. In my movies, just a second, TV show search, yeah. So it's from this particular url. Let me go to this url and show it to you. It contains like a lot of data of like images, and I can just go to it and show basically get the response, okay. I can just get the response from this particular url, okay. Then what we have is we have to make image of the available data that I have received. I just console here and show it to you guys. I will get some like error on my client side right now because I'm not able to access it right now. Then I can make this image basically. This is my like how we use the Axios portion. So we often use terminal for working. So I'm skipping the terminal part right now. You can there are very simple commands for using the terminal. You can use them. Then we have the prototypes and classes, which I have told you already about, like the show function and the everything. You can go through the prototypes. So everything in JavaScript is considered as an object. I've told you already. So in each array object we create, we get some additional properties and member functions if we want name property from object or object to. Okay. Now we come to the Node.js part. Okay. So in Node.js part, Node is basically a engine. Okay, and we can run it. We can run it like C++. Okay, I can run it just like C++. Suppose I have written here hello from rs.js and console log process.argv. And what I want is I want to suppose run this particular file. Node JS, you should have Node in your installed in your laptops. Basically, I want to write here the process. Okay, 12.5 CD 13 Node.js. So what I have here is I am going to inside my uh, Node.js folder. Yeah. So I am inside my Node.js folder. I go to cd argument.js folder. Inside Node.js, what I have is the process. Okay. So I will go to my process folder. Is this process? Okay, 01 process. 01 process folder. Inside my process folder, I have argument.js. So I will go to cd argument.cd to args. Okay, so I am in this particular directory basically where I have this argument js. If I write node args dot js, let's see what I receive. So the thing is, we are getting something like hello from argument js. See this particular console log in my terminal also. So what I have written, I have written here in my terminal node, then the name of my file. So what this is doing is, this particular thing, it's like working like a engine of JavaScript. Okay, similarly, suppose I have this greeter.js, and what it's doing is slicing it into parts argument, and then hi there argument. Okay, and suppose I write here again node uh, greeter .js. So this will also work if I am not console log anything, so I will not get something like this. So but it's working fine with argument.js. So you can pass arguments to a script and node argument.js. See puppies, chickens, hello, and I will get something like this. So node is just used for web dev, and this is one of the purposes. It's not used only for web development, it's also used for all other things also. So web development, it's used very commonly in web development. Okay, then we have some mpln modules. So there are a lot of node modules inside. We can just import the node modules and install them. And our node modules contain different properties and functions which we require in our backend. So it's important to install node modules.export and all of these things. Okay, now sharing code among multiple JavaScript files, so we can use the functions. So if we write module.exports, so we can share our code among multiple JavaScript files that we have functions and variables. Okay, we create functions and variables inside this module.exports file in our backend, and then we are able to share the code. So with node we can particular about what a file shares and doesn't share. Okay, we can be particular here. If you want to create a function but don't want to share it to some particular pages, we can also add it. Then if we need data from another style, we can write require. And if we in express, it's written in, it's just JavaScript, written by other people, that is used by like in requiring those files. So express is just some javascript functions that are written and we can like require them in our browser basically. Then what we have is like by default, an empty object is received by requiring file, and as soon as like module that I write module that exports dot function equal to function, so I can export hello also. Okay, I can module dot exports equal to hello also. I can export it like this in my file. Let me show you one. uh, Suppose I have this, I want pi and square required form dot slash mat file. Okay, this is destructuring basically, and it's used for like using express. Okay, and if I write here const cats equal to require, it requires dot shelter. Okay, it requires dot slash shelter, so required an entire directory. Okay, then I get cat zero dot name. Inside, what is there inside shelter? Inside shelter I have like a lot of function, module dot export name equal to bings, then I have this index.js file, then my a lot of like module dot exports, and I'm calling them here. Okay, required from my shelter and cat zero dot name. So that's how module dot exports work. Okay, we write this particular function and inside that the module dot exports, you can see the syntax, it's very like similar to json type, a little bit different. So that's how we use module dot exports. Fine. Okay, so we have here the module dot export, and shorthand for export function is equal to function. Then we can require a directory as I told you earlier. So suppose I have this jokester function. Okay, so I have this const jokes equal to require. What I require is give me a joke. Okay, this is some file. Then color require, I want some colors. Then cow c and get random dad jokes, and then joke dot rainbow. I get like something like this. Okay, then I have my package dot json file basically, in which I have these dependencies here. So all the dependencies which I was requiring previously, the colors, the cow say, and the give me a joke, all of these dependencies are written in my package.json, and this is my package log.json file. So arster, see, I can also write here in package.json. I have these many dependencies, colors and figlet. So that's how we can use like the package.json files. If we write npm init in the starting of my like commands, npm init, then I will be initialized with an empty like repository. I'm removing it for now. I will like initialize with an empty packet.json. Then we'll like add it. After that, we can use like start working on the node part. Then we have package, like see here I have described a little bit about package.json. So suppose I have in every single package that we basically install, there is a like mysterious file called package.json, and this is like very important file. It contains all the data about our packages and projects, descriptions, all the license, the version and the names, everything a package.json file contains. And it's the most important part is its dependencies, which I showed you just now. It has all the list of packages that we installed and the versions and the how my like package particularly depends on. So some of the dependencies are very specific. For example, exactly 1.4, around 1.4, or greater than 2.5. So to create my own package.json, I told you earlier also, we can write npm init and then follow the steps that we get basically. And if we want to like skip the question part, we can write npm init dash y to skip the question part. So now that we have created, it won't give us the warning if we share our code. We only need to share the package.json file now, because the user can simply install the dependencies themselves. If you want to like share the code, we can ask them that download the following dependencies to run our code, and our code will work fine. If we share the code, yeah, so installing dependencies, we how we install dependencies, we write npm install, and after that the name of our like dependency. So we can write simply npm install or something, so I could get the dependencies. Okay, Then what we have is like language gesture or something like this. So it's again a like a function for creating packages and using the packages basically. So what is this NPM? NPM full form is Node Package Manager. It's a very huge library of a lot of packages and modules, and that other people wrote, and we can use them for free. Package is just like a code that someone else has written, and it has saved for us, and we can like import it like or download it for our own use. For example, React is also some package. Express and Remotex, these all can be used by us, and all of the functions are written for by someone else for us to use. Now we can use command line to install all of these packages. Npm install, then name of the package, or the short form is npm in package. It will install some of the dependencies, and we'll be able to like use them. So when we run npm install, then we are installing them in our local directory, and we can't use it outside of our directory. And to solve this, we can like use it globally. Suppose we want to write npm install, and we want to like use it outside our file folders also, like in all our files basically. So what we write is we write npm i-g and package name. Now if we try to use globally installed packages, then it give me an error. So npm link package name, if you like, if you try to install globally, then it can give an error. So I can simply write npm link and then the package name. So I will like my error will be resolved. Okay, so this is my, suppose my first script. So I have written console log hello from the first script. So what I can do here is, this is my first script. Let me just copy path and paste it here. Okay, paste this path here, cd dot dot, and I have gone to, I'm inside the process currently, and I want to be inside Jokesters shelter. Okay, so I have to like go outside of my process. Then I'm inside Node.js. Then I can like simply write Node and first script.js. If I run it, you can see I am getting this like for loop run 10 times for hello from the first script. It's like it ran 10 times. So it's now how we can like add function in Node.js. What exactly is Node.js? Let's revise. So it's a JavaScript runtime environment. It helps us write server-side JavaScript, and we could only run JavaScript in browsers. But now Node help us execute outside of the browser. Okay, like we are executing things in our terminal also. It's outside the browser, so we can easily use this. Now we can't deal with document, object model, user input, but we can access to other functionalities also. So what are the reasons? Like why should we use Node.js? Because we want to create servers basically. We want to write server side logic basically, and like we want to create a get and post request basically. So we are used to like, we make command line tools also by using this. We make native apps like VS Code is a Node app. Okay, this particular VS Code, this is a Node app. It's Slack, etc. These are all Node apps, and we can make video games also using Node.js. So that's the requirement of Node.js. So we can use it as a console. We don't have a document and window here, like a lot of things we can use Node for. A lot of things to run, we just type node script.js, and then it will be able to like work. Then we have express.js, and suppose I create my first app here. So how we start writing our backend code, this is the starting. We write our index.js file, we install express, then we write const express equal to require our express file, and then we declare an app equal to express. Okay, then what we do, we use it basically. Okay, we use it basically. So suppose I have written this particular line of text here, app.use, then in the bracket I write request and response, then the arrow function, then I have these parentheses, and I write console.log. We got a new request basically. Okay, So I can also like console.log, console.directory, okay, request, and res.send this particular thing. I can like do these things. Okay, let me just try this. What I am doing is I am rest dot sending these particular things, and let me just comment out rest of the things that is like present here. What I have is on this particular app I have console logging and everything. So suppose I want to like run this, I have to run my index.js file. So for running, I will what I will do, I'm inside node.js. I will go outside Node.js and I will go inside my uh, Express portion basically, and then I will start here Node, and I want to run index.js. I will write index.js. So this particular module is not found currently. Yeah, so I have to go in 01 first app basically. So now I'll be able to like find my node app. Okay, it's inside first app folder. So node index.js. I click on it. Again the issue, same similar issue. Uh, okay, so inside express.js 01 first app. Let me check the path of this. Okay, I am getting some other index.js file, I guess. Just a second. Let me just find out the issue that I'm facing. Let me just close everything. Just a minute. Okay, so for some reason I'm not able to run these use commands. You can just check the commands for now. Like I have this app.use here, and we like console log. We got a new request, and we can just add this particular request, and we can like res.send this particular value. Okay. Then what we can do is we can get from the dot slash cats option the cat request and everything. Then what we can do is we can on this particular route we can like dogs request and everything. We have to like open this local host basically here. Okay, some local host. What is the local host name? 8080. Okay, so we write app.listen on port 8080, console.log listening on port 8080. Okay, if I just write here console.log slash request response, then I will get this particular region. Okay, console.log this particular region, then subreddit, then like a lot of I can add a lot of URL here. So in the all the get regions, I will get this. Okay, so that's how we write the first like lines of code in our backend. Then we have this initialized like our packages in our dependencies. I have the express as installed. Okay, then this is not an important part, so we'll just skip it. Then we have the APIs. Okay, so get versus post. these are the requests. So get request is used to retrieve information or resource. Get is basically getting the info, post is sending the info. So they are just basically conventions, but we can just reverse it. For example, we can use a get request to send some data, but it's not a good idea. Okay, so we can use, like, we can get request to some data, but it's not a good idea. Then we have request send data to query strings. Then we have parsing request dot body. By default it's like it's undefined. Okay, request dot body, you need to like I have to pass a middleware here. What is the middleware? Middleware is another function that we write here. Okay, basically app dot use express dot url encoded extended to true. If I write here this, then after then I write express dot json, so then I will be able to print body of my, like, text on web page basically. So this is how we parse the request body in express. We have to write like here, like this. Then I will be able to, like, receive express.json. Okay, so that's how we get post. See, this is my res.send get slash tacos response app dot post const meet request dot body. And I have written here express dot url included extended equal to true. So I will be getting my basically text on the web page. And localhost, what is written here? It's written local app is listening on port like 3000. Okay, so I can just add this here, add this portion here. I will get to CD. Then CD to get and post. And background scripter.js. No, these modules are not being found for some reason. So for now, just see it. We have to write app.listen on port 3000. Then this will work. Start working on port 3000. So what is REST basically? So REST is also called representational state transfer. So it's like the set of guidelines or rules how clients and servers should interact with each other. Client is the, like, front end side, and server is the back end side. Soon we will, like, create APIs. We can create APIs, and then we can ask for the get request on post request on it. So create content, read content, update content, and delete content of the web page. These are also called the CRUD operations that we perform. Okay, like get comments, post comments, patch comments, update existing comments, or delete comments. This pattern is not REST, it's RESTful. Okay, it's called RESTful. Though if someone asks what is this, so these are basically the RESTful APIs. Then there is a big problem with our comments and new route. If we refresh the page to get a request to comments, we will confirm for submission error. Okay, so we automatically get a get request, and we direct it to, like, the comments for updating and deleting portion. So these are like the different type of how we can write here the get and post request. So suppose I have this page, I have created express and then my app, then path equal to, I require path also, and then require uid, then method override function, then I add here view engine ejs, which will, like, ejs is embedded javascript inside my javascript. In my HTML code, I can write JavaScript also. Then I have method override function. So suppose I have these comments, username, comment, and UID, and then I want to get these particular comments only, these comments only. So I can write render home comments. Okay. Then I want to get new comments, so I can render new. If I want to post comments here, so what I can do is I can, like, request dot body, and in the push username, comment, id, and uid, and patch, and also a lot of things here. I can also delete the comments, I can also update them. So I can, like, perform all these CRUD operations using these functions. So that's how we can, like, perform put, post, and delete, and everything. So that's like the basic of backend development. How we can, like, add, get, put, post. There are a lot of things in backend development. So first, start, like, practicing CRUD operations. After that, we can, like, go further with the more extensive backend part. Fine. So now what we have is we have MongoDB here. So what is MongoDB? Mongoose is basically application which interacts with our database and our Node app. Suppose we create some database, we can create a database in SQL, structured format or no SQL, and we can like use Mongoose functions for basically interacting with the database and Node app. So suppose I have ODM. Okay, what is this ODM? Object data mapper. It makes data coming from Mongo into useful data like JavaScript objects, or all of the data that is supposed coming from MongoDB. It is converted to JavaScript objects, and then we use it in our code basically. So this is my ODM. Then I have this Mongoose. So npm I Mongoose. I require it mongoose.connect. So I basically do this to connect to my MongoDB database. I use this particular line of code. First, I require Mongoose, and after that, mongoose.connect. If I run the file, the terminal will hang because it's expecting us to write some JavaScript command. So dot connect returns a promise and then a catch. So we write mongoose dot connect. Then after that we create some models which represent data which in which format our collection will be stored in database. So these we create models also. So models are JavaScript classes that represent data in collection in our database, and schema is just a blueprint. It does nothing, like it does nothing. It's like a blueprint. We write it to describe how we have to store data in our database, and model is a JavaScript class that represents collection inside our database. It just describes how our database is storing the data. Then we have insert many async function. Then we have this updating. So let me show you the code how we write a mongoose and connect a database. So suppose I have written here const mongoose equal to require mongoose, then mongoose dot connect to, suppose this is my MongoDB database. Then I will write here new unified topology and everything true. Then return a promise console log connected to MongoDB, or catch an error if there is an error. Then we create the schema. How my database is stored in MongoDB database? We create mongoose.schema, then we write here title and everything. Then we make a model using that schema, new mongoose.model and movie schema. This create a like model. It does not have to anything. It's like a blueprint only. Okay, this is like my second schema. Okay, this is my like suppose I want to add a new movie, so I can like const Amanda's equal to new movie, then my movie will be created basically. This, if I add this, then my movie will be created. Insert many, if I want to like insert more than one movies, then it's not that commonly used, but movie dot insert many, and then I will add title and everything. Then data inserted successfully, otherwise catch the error. This is also like used for inserting data in our MongoDB database. Insert many, then find, update, and a lot of things that we can use here. Delete many, use dot, then all of them can be used in my when I connect it to MongoDB. Then what is like schema and validations? To like add complicated validations or set property on of an object, we use validations. So the if I have one, suppose one field which is not a schema, so it will ignore the field and add the fields that are in the schema. Okay, if I write something and it's not there, so it will just ignore it. Okay, and write what all the things that are in the schema in my MongoDB database. So there are options like required, default, immutable. So suppose I want to add something to my database. Suppose I want to add name and it is like important, so I will write there required. This basically thing is required. So, and this basic thing is default, this is immutable or unchangeable. So if we can apply all these things. Okay, lowercase, uppercase. Suppose I want to add the like my data in the form of lowercase only or uppercase only, so I can add all these instructions in my schema also. So suppose we want to have an array of categories, so I can also add my in my schema that this particular thing is array, and we can just tell mongoose to validate this. So this is basically what this is called. This is called validation errors. Okay, so then we have these static methods, virtuals, and mongoose middlewares. Okay, Let me just show you the code which will be more easy for you. So see, this is my mongoose. So default mongoose require, and it's connected to my mongodb database. Then console.log connected to mongodb and catch the particular error. Then I have created the schema, which is first and last both will be in the format of string. Then I have created this person schema in which virtual will be full name, and get the particular function, like virtually create a full name scheme inside my database, and just use it as the first name and the last name, like create the first name and last name, and then add this in the database, then set my new substring as name.index of and something like that. So that's how my like mongoose schema is working. Then person schema dot save. So you and everything I can just I have just I can also change the names basically. This dot first, by using I can change the name of my what data I saved previously. Okay, I have like in access of instances of like person, so I can use this here. You can also post here save, just saved, and I can like update this model, new mongoose dot model person and person schema. So that's how I can set values, like if I want to add virtual function, I want to change it to uppercase all the values, so I can add function here and do that accordingly. So that's how my schema property basically works. So suppose I have this connected and then catch error. I have this product schema which has this name and properties. Now you can see here it is required true and max length should be 20. So what will happen, even though I write a name which is suppose of 21 characters, then only 20 characters will be saved in my database, and rest of them will be ignored. Another thing is, we cannot add a database without writing the name. So this is the use of required. Here also required true. This is not required that much. If person skips it, it's fine. Then default number is equal to 0. So this means it's not like specified enum, like how much will be the length of the string, and everything we can add here in our schema. Okay, I can also add greet functions, hello from. So I can add these methods in our database also, toggle on sale, add category, first sale, and everything we can like add all of these things in our schema. Then we have mongoose with express. So suppose this is our model. So I have created this model of schema, product schema, name, and everything. Okay, then I have in my views some ejs portion basically. Okay, this is like my ejs. See how it's written, it's like written arrow and then percentage symbol and found dot name and everything. We have written here javascript basically, edit.ejs, home.ags, product.ejs. So that's how our front end is being rendered. Okay, my JavaScript code is written inside Excel, like HTML. So that's why it's called embedded JavaScript. Then I have this MongoDB. It's like connecting to my database and then console logging everything. Okay, so then inserting values and saving it here. Then I have my notes here of describing all of these things, and then server.js, which contains app, my app, and everything, and how app.get, app.post, and all of these functions are working, which I told you earlier, updation and deletion. And here I have written app.listen on port 3000, and I will get this particular error. So that's how my whole backend portion is working basically. We can also like practice the CRUD applications here by creating some product page. We can like try creating something like Amazon page, and then use them. Okay, then next up we have is middlewares. Middlewares were used basically before the execution of the function, like here app.get and next. This is written here, it refers to the next middleware, that and it refers to the next middleware and it executes it basically. Let me show you with an example. See, app.use Morgan Dev. This is basically one middleware. Then another middle. There are a lot of like middlewares. This is also a middleware. Express is also using here. Then I have use and everything. And next specifies which next middleware should be used. Okay. Then we have the error handling. the data relationships and everything. So there are a lot of like database relationships. You can study about the MongoDB relationship. The part that is left is the authentication part. How we, like, if suppose I have to like add what I can say, passwords to my database, I just try writing them in like coded form, hexacode decimal form. So we use authentication. We authenticate if I am logging and I get some, see, this is my login page, home page and everything. And if I get a user which is already like in my basically system in my database, then I will give access to my web page, otherwise I will not give the access. So how passwords are saved? Passwords are saved as bcrypt scripts. Okay, so that's the important part which works here. So let me just show you the authentication part. See, so what is happening here is I have required mongoose, I have connected the database, set the view engine as EJS and set the views, then URL encoded and everything, and I here verify the user. So how we do this? We require and then give the response, and then the next middleware is also added here. If session user ID is not required, if I have not received the session user ID, then I redirect it to like login. So if user ID is not present, I redirect them to login. Okay, then next, then I go to my home page and then go to register and login. This renders the login page. Then what we have is the slash register async and username and everything. So I add the new user to my schema, basically my database, like this: new user, username and password, and user id equal to user dot id, and we redirect it to like slash. Okay, vapas back to like our home page. Then we have this login page, and we request the body of username and password, then find our username using the find one. And if the user is valid, we bicrypt, we compare the bicrypt compare. Since we converted it to like bicrypt code our password, so we write bicrypt compare password to user dot password which the user has like written. Then we await like find and validate the username and password. And if there is not any user, then we raise dot send incorrect credentials. Okay, if I have like I don't get username or password similar, I pass this incorrect credentials, or I otherwise I redirect them to the secret like route. Then what we have is we have like the super secret and everything, we verify them, and like that we work on the authentication part basically. Okay, so that's how we work on the authentication part. And index.js, so they have my hashing. Okay, we can just write bicrypt.hash password to 12 numbers, and it will bicrypt my password. Suppose I write something like this and something like this, so it will be like hashed as my password, and after that it will be compared. Okay, suppose I want to like I have written this password hello 123, so it will call this function hash password, and this particular bicrypt thing will be like displayed on the screen. So that's how we like use bicrypt for our code basically. So that's about the basic backend and the front end part. Try like developing it on your own. Let me show you the link to the notes if you are not getting. uh, just a second. Let me show you the content part where you can get the notes. You can go through this particular link. Okay, so this particular link is what I am working. If you go to github.com, uh, this particular link, you will be able to, I think, I'm not able to post the like comment, but you can just check this link. It contains all the link to the notes and everything. So I am taking reference from these notes, and you can like practice all the projects that are present in this code and everything. it's like written only on, I what I can say is how we can like add it. Fine. Fine. Now, have you guys like gone through this link? Are there any doubts which you want to ask? You can ask the doubts. You can ask all the doubts that you have. For now, we'll close the session in 5 minutes. Since everything from my end is complete now, I have told you all the basics of everything of the backend part. Now, practice it is what is required basically. So I guess there are no doubts. So we can end the session. Thank you, everyone.